This shutdown is a little bit different because we're seeing something that we've never seen before, which is the federal government not just saying that they will furlough federal employees, but they will actually fire and lay off federal employees who are considered non-essential. So the Office of Management and Budget, run by Russell Vought, came out with a memo to agencies just the other week saying, hey, as you furlough employees, consider whether or not you really need those roles and consider shrinking down your agencies so it's only essential employees, as well as programs and agencies that are in line with the president's agenda. Now, he didn't go into detail about exactly which agencies those would be, but we can guess based on what the priorities of the Trump administration have been. Probably means things like Customs and Border Protection, ICE, military, policing would all maintain funding levels and staff, or maybe things like, say, the Department of Education would be more at risk for cuts. Democrats have basically come out and said that this is nothing more than an intimidation tactic. They point out there have already been massive reductions in the federal workforce and that Russell Vought doesn't need a government shutdown to ask agencies to lay off individuals. Meanwhile, you have seen the Supreme Court bring some initial rulings out that lay a path for the Trump administration to fire more workers. So there is more of a risk here if a shutdown does happen, because you could see a massive shrinkage in the size of government.
Those federal workers would be certainly impacted in a major way. If I look at the overall, economy, we're talking about 160 million people employed, over 160 million employed, and the federal workers, the ones that were potentially furloughed, is probably about 800,000. This big debate about the employment picture and inflation, and if we go into a government shutdown, some of that data releases, even the upcoming employment report, would potentially not come out. So all of a sudden, you have the Fed heading into a meeting with less information, which is already a difficult decision. I mean, I think what would happen is that the Fed would start looking even more on outside private data, but it certainly complicates things at a time where there's a lot of tension in the Fed's mandate and that employment versus the inflation side.